And it's a 15-page report. It's fairly elaborate, but it is still a preliminary report. What, in my mind, the few points that I have is that, one, it is a bit ambiguous. The language which is used seems to be a little ambiguous as to what actually happened during the final stages of the aircraft after it got airborne till the time that it impacted upon the ground. The language which is lending itself to ambiguity is a statement made about the fuel control switches. Now, I am a Dreamliner pilot. I've flown the Dreamliner for 10 years. I have more than 4,700 odd hours in command on the Dreamliner. So I'm familiar with the machine. I'm familiar with the environment. The fuel control switch is the area of concern at this point in time as per the report. What the report says is that the fuel control switches have transitioned from run to cutoff. Now, whether this means that the physical movement of these fuel control switches has taken place or not is not clear at all. The enhanced and advanced flight data recorder would tell the position of all the switches in the cockpit. So theoretically, the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau should be having access to that, and they should have been able to tell us very clearly as to what was the actual position of the switches in the cockpit at the time at which this transition has taken place. As far as I'm concerned, the pilots would have nothing to do with the fuel control switches during the takeoff. The only time at which the fuel control switches come into play is if, for example, there is an engine failure at or after V1 or at any stage immediately after takeoff, which results, or an engine fire of a single engine, which results in the actions that would be involving the fuel control switch. These actions would only take place at a safe height of at least 400 feet once the aircraft is stabilized and the autopilot is on. So these memory items would involve in what we call securing the engine, which in this case, let's take the case of engine failure, would involve putting the auto throttle arm switch off, identifying the correct thrust lever, confirming it from the other pilot, then bringing the thrust lever from its takeoff position to idle position, and then subsequently putting your hand on the fuel control switch, identifying it, confirming it with the other pilot before putting it from run to cutoff. It's a very deliberate action. It's a very slow action. And the final action would be to pull the fire switch. So all these actions would take place only at or after a minimum safe altitude of 400 feet, certainly not immediately after takeoff. So my question, or the what lends itself to ambiguity is, it is extremely unlikely that any of the pilots would have done this. Extremely unlikely. And that too, you're not talking about one switch, you're talking about both switches. And as per the report, both these switches have transitioned from run to cutoff within a period of 1 second. Now, even if you look at it from a pilot's perspective, if I have to put off a fuel control switch, I'm just saying normally, even if I do it at maximum speed, from a takeoff position, I will have to first look down, find out where that switch is, put my hand on that switch, lift it up because it's a spring-loaded switch, pick it up, move it to cutoff, and thereafterwards release it. Thereafterwards, I will have to follow the same procedure on the other the fuel control switch, in which I have to identify it, pick it up, release the spring-loaded catch, move it to the cutoff position, and then release it again. This entire process certainly cannot be done within a second. So my thinking is, perhaps you have to look at other aspects as to why this fuel control switches have transitioned into a cutoff position. Now, whenever the fuel control switch is put to run, which it is done when we first start the engine on the pushback, this fuel control switch is not touched at all till you switch off at the end of the flight, right? But whenever it is put from idle to run, from cutoff to run, there are certain micro switches within the whole system itself which makes contacts, which control different things. Different signals are sent to the software, to the FADEC, to the systems which open up the fuel control valves of the engine, of the spar fuel control valve. That means the valve which controls the fuel from your fuel tank to that particular engine. There are all different micro switches that are there which make contact when you move the fuel control switch from cutoff to on. Maybe these would have to be investigated in greater detail. I'm sure that the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau has all the necessary expertise. They have access to all the experts, the domain experts, the original equipment manufacturers. I'm sure they'll be able to find out exactly what went wrong. As far as I'm concerned, I think it is extremely, extremely remote that anyone during a process of takeoff takes his attention off the takeoff, looks down, finds the switch, puts it off, and then finds the other switch, again puts it off, and all within a period of 1 second. In my opinion, extremely unlikely.
In a world where business never stops, Mint keeps you ahead, any screen, anytime, from studios to the ground.
Mint is doing brilliantly well. It's a well-read page, I would think.
Mint breaks down business, leadership and lifestyle, boldly, visually and smartly. From boardrooms to markets, from personal wealth to industry trends, we bring you the insights that matter. What fuels India's biggest CEOs? Ride along and find out. Want to invest like the pros? Learn from India's top market experts. Your money, your future. We make finance simple. Step inside breathtaking homes and the creative minds behind them. India's real estate scene decoded. No jargon, no fluff. Some chase success, others create it. Meet the ones who made the impossible possible. We don't just talk business, we show it. And the world's watching.